This is Colin O'Keefe for LXBN TV. Today's topic of discussion is the much talked about Costa Concordia Shipwreck over in Italy. Joining me today is Jim Walker of Walker & O'Neill and the Outstanding Cruise Law News. First off, Jim, of course, everyone's seen the pictures of the ship tipped over on its side. But what exactly happened here? Do we have any level of information as far as how this happened?
Well, what happened in this case, Colin, is just extraordinary. I've been an attorney, maritime attorney, since 1983, and I've seen some wild and crazy things. But this one takes the book. The captain, an Italian captain on an Italian cruise liner, the Costa Concordia, had been a captain for only 5 or 6 years, so he didn't have a great deal of experience. But it looks like he intentionally departed course and sailed a couple of hundred feet by an island. To essentially showboat and to sound the horn and to wave to friends ashore. And in the process, he nailed a reef, a large portion of a reef that was charted, ripped the hull out of this $500 million luxury cruise liner, and didn't slow down to deploy the lifeboats, continued sailing for a little bit, and then panicked, took the ship into shallower waters. And then to make the story even more unbelievable, he abandoned ship. So here we have a 1,000-year, principle back to the medieval sea codes. The captain's supposed to go down with the ship, or at least be the last one on it. And he jumped into a lifeboat and went to shore and abandoned his guests and his crew. He's been arrested for abandoning ship and for manslaughter. So it's really almost like something you wouldn't believe if Hollywood came out with a movie on it.
Wow. You've touched on it a little bit, but what level of culpability does he then have, and what level of culpability does the cruise line have for what happened here? I know people were jumping off, thinking they would have to do so.
Well, yeah, he faces civil and criminal culpability, both for the deaths that he caused. There are still 25 or 30 missing passengers. There's a few Americans who died. There are multiple injuries. The cruise line has essentially admitted that the captain acted inappropriately. So they've almost conceded negligence now. The cruise line should face accountability to all the passengers and injured crew, but there are a number of things at play here. There's an international treaty called the Athens Convention that limits damages for shipping companies like this cruise line to only $70,000. That cap can be waived or can be stripped from the cruise line's defense if there was intentional misconduct. And there's an issue whether it's the intentional misconduct of the captain or the intentional misconduct of the cruise line itself. And just a few additional facts. Lloyd's List, which is a major maritime publication in the UK, has come out with data showing that the captain did this before, and in fact had the approval of the cruise line to do this before, and that they had announced a prior, what they're calling flyby, on Facebook. So if this type of intentional misconduct was approved and ratified by the company, you could have a situation where they're not able to limit their defenses. Now, at the same time, there's language to the effect that if the master of a ship or any employee of a ship departs from the course and scope of his employment and is engaged in some type of personal matter that's reckless and causes injury, then the cruise line is not going to be vicariously, secondarily liable for that. So it's going to be really interesting to see how all of this plays out.
Mm-hmm. And you mentioned before that this is kind of on a different level in terms of what you've seen before. But have you seen anything even somewhat like this recently? With ships running aground or other accidents like this? It seems so rare, but I've seen on your blog that things like this do happen sometimes, and it's crazy.
Well, the remarkable thing, and the major media has not reported on this yet, but a week before the Costa Concordia ran aground in Italy, we had another Italian cruise line, the MSC cruise line, their cruise ship is the Poesia, ran into, here's a comparable size mega ship, 900 feet long, with a 30-foot draft, sailed into 15 foot, less than 15 feet of water over in the Grand Bahama Islands going to Freeport, and just annihilated an underground reef, a fragile reef. And you would think that everyone would focus on that and conduct a full investigation, but the cruise ship just disembarked their passengers, took them on excursion boats to shore so they could enjoy the day at the beach. And then when the high tide lifted the ship up, the ship backed up and just took off. So that was a week before this catastrophe. And if you go back, you know, we're a little obsessed here at Cruise Law News with each thing that can go wrong, but we've tracked in the past 2 years 15 groundings, ship fires, collisions, elisions. The Costa Cruise Line had 2 of their ships, the Costa Europa and the Costa Classica, be involved in collisions where the ship's integrity was impaired, the hull was ruptured, and there were passenger injuries and crew member death. So the cruise industry's out saying it's rare, you're safe, come aboard, have a great time. But these types of things happen with an alarming frequency.
Yeah. I mean, the whole thing is just alarming, and it's, you know, like you said, it's interesting to watch. You know, with the cruise line approving, you know, these flybys that you mentioned, it's interesting to watch. So, you know, we'll have to see where things go from here. Well,
yeah, it's almost like Tom Cruise. Remember Top Gun? He takes his F-15 and he does a flyby of the aircraft carrier.
Yeah.
It's something out of a movie, Colin.
Not a good idea. Well, once again, that's Jim Walker of Cruise Law News. For more on this story, be sure to check out cruiselawnews.com. By far and away, you know, one of the best law blogs just out there on LXBlog Network, and probably, well, definitely the best maritime law blog out there. So for more on that, be sure to check out again cruiselawnews.com and of course lxbn.lexblog.com. Thanks, Jim.
Great. Thanks, Colin.